Greetings, and welcome to another episode of Untomoto Show. I am so excited about this particular episode. I am Dr. Uwa Onyioha Osimiri, and I'm your host on the Untomoto Show. Thank you. Untomoto means words of wisdom that I share to add to your repertoire. Before we get started, I would like to remind you to please support this channel by liking and subscribing so that you will know when we are having other segments. Also, it helps the organization, it helps us grow. So please subscribe and support this channel. In today's segment, we are diving into the dynamic duo of American politics, Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. Before we go deep into our discussion today, it will be remiss if I don't recognize the man who made it all possible, our current president, Joe Biden. Many have sought, quite frankly, to define him by his performance at the last debate with Donald Trump. But I don't want to go into what caused him to perform the way he did because there were many reasons. But what I do want us to know is that we cannot forget the kind of president he was. He made a significant contribution to this country, and it is important that we recognize that he is the cause and the reason of all the celebration that we're having today. But I just want to share a little bit of the achievement that he's made. You can find this information on Newsweek, on the internet, anywhere, Forbes, all the networks, you can find it. So for those who say they don't know what he contributed, what difference he made in American politics, I think it's important that I just share a few of his contributions, and then you can find out the rest of them because there are so many. One key thing that he achieved is the 1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package. Everybody's celebrating. Everybody knows so much is going on with the infrastructure because of Joe Biden. The 1.9 trillion COVID relief deal, that was his doing. Highest appointment of federal judges since Ronald Reagan. He halted the federal executions. He made commitment to combating climate change. Support for transgender service members. He reduced unemployment. And right now, he unselfishly passed the torch. On to the focus of our conversation today, his Vice President, VP Kamala Harris. There are some people who say, oh, I don't know her. I don't recognize her. For God's sake, she's been the Vice President for 4 years. Well, if you don't know much about her, I'm going to help you out a little bit. I just want to share a little bit her background. As the first Black woman and person of South Asian descent, she is the first to hold the office of Vice President. Kamala Harris has made history in more ways than one. The first woman of color to hold this position, together with Tim Walz. And hopefully, if we do the right thing, we can buy her presidency by electing enough Democratic senators and House members so that she and her Walz can do what they want to get done. And besides, let's remember, it's not about what they want to do, it's about what we want to do. So if we want them, what we want them to achieve, if we want them to achieve, then we have to do the right thing. We must vote in the right people to help them, to solve the challenges impacting this nation, facing this nation rather. We're going to explore with my guests today, we're going to explore their backgrounds, key policies, and the impact they hope to make during their time in office. For some of you who don't know her, let me just share a little bit about her background. Kamala and her campaign. Kamala Harris is the 49th Vice President of the United States, making history, as I stated earlier, as the first Black woman, first person of South Asian descent in this role, the daughter of Indian and Jamaican immigrants. Harris earned her degree in political science and economics from Howard University and her law degree from the University of California, Hastings College of Law. She began her political career as a prosecutor in the San Francisco District Attorney's Office and became California's first female Attorney General in 2010. Now, in 2020, she was elected as Joe Biden's running mate and they won the election, leading to her inauguration as vice president on January 20th, 2021. Harris remains a strong advocate for racial justice, women's rights, and economic equality. Since her are benevolent, and that's what he is. Now, you have to really be unselfish to give up the opportunity to be a president and hand it over to somebody else. Joe Biden passed the baton of leadership to Kamala. She has taken off running and has energized the American political landscape. I can't even begin to describe. She has received support from Black women who held a Zoom call for Kamala with over 40,000 women in attendance, and they raised over 1.3 million for her. Then the Black men for Kamala raised I think in 1.5 million, 1.3 to 1.5 million for her. Nearly 200,000 white women for Kamala met on Zoom, raising millions of dollars. Then you have the white dudes for Kamala. There's been separate calls for South Asian women, LGBTQ allies, raising millions and millions for her campaign. I mean, the level of support that she's been getting is just amazing and energizing the whole political landscape. She has raised well over 300 million. I don't know what it is right now, but the last one, the last report I have is 310 million. And just recently, when she identified her VP, she raised 35 million, I think, in 24 hours. Can you imagine that? Out of the several contenders for her vice president, she selected one, but she had Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro was in the mix, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Arizona Senator Mike Kelly, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, California Governor Gavin Newsom, and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. But in the long run, she selected Tim Walz. Some of them dropped out because of commitments, but in the long run, she selected Tim Walz, the 41st governor of Minnesota. He was born in West Point, Nebraska. He grew up in a family with a strong military background. Before entering politics, Walz served as a high school teacher and a member of Army National Guard, where he achieved the rank of Command Sergeant Major. His political career began in 2006 when he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Minnesota's 1st congressional district. As governor, Walz has prioritized education, healthcare, and economic development, particularly in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. He is known for his collaborative approach to governance and his commitment to addressing climate change and social justice issues in Minnesota. These two people are so energizing, and I'm telling you, I am so excited to bring in a panel that's going to have a little bit more extensive discussion about this very, very exciting show. Let me bring in Dr. Bola Mumuney-Tilghman, president of Millennium African Project Incorporated. Dr. Well, okay, there she is. Hello, Dr. I'm telling you, I'm so excited. I can't even pronounce your name. I'm very excited. I've never been so excited about politics. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, I am the same place where you are. Excited, overjoyed, over the moon. This is so amazing. I've never much excitement all across the world in politics. United
Yes.
States American politics. This is not a temporary thing. This is a movement. And
It
I'm
is.
excited to be part of that movement. But thank
Yes.
you so much for having me here so we can have a discussion about such a movement. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. My next guest is Dr. Sandra Beasely, PhD in clinical psychology. Where is she? There she is. Congratulations. Let me tell you, she just finished her doctorate in clinical psychology. So proud of you, girlfriend. So she and I went to work for her PhD together, and she was such an inspiration to me. Always, once you look like you're falling apart, she'll tell me, "All right, get up, we got things to do." So thank you. I'll never forget you for that. That is wonderful. And then, how are you? How are you? I didn't hear you just say something. You excited?
Good. I got my little take life one cup at a time coffee to
Good to
help
see
enjoy
you
the
today.
discussion here with both of you.
Yes, yes, yes. Good to have you here. And my next guest is Danielle Williams, who is the owner of Simone's Boutique here. She is the lovely Danielle Williams.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, ladies, are you hearing an echo?
Yes.
I don't know where that's coming from. Okay, you guys hold 1 second. And while I'm trying to correct it, I'm going to play a little here. I'm going to just introduce. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see. Hopefully, yes, it's gone. All right, that's gone. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're going to dive right into conversation about this wonderful, wonderful. Now, I'll tell you how this is going to work. It's okay if you want to talk about both campaigns or if you want to just focus on the Harris campaign. Feel free, it's open floor. My first question is to Dr. Bola and Daniel. From what you're seeing, what is the strategy that you think is being utilized by both campaigns? Actually, what do you see happening with the Harris campaign and the? I don't understand. I still have that. Anyway, let's have you, Dr. Bola, talk about the messaging that you're seeing from the Harris campaign, the targeted demographics, outreach efforts. What are you seeing? What are you seeing?
Thank you so much, Dr. Ho, for that question. And this is so amazing. And before I answer that question, I believe it was last year we started talking about messaging. Michigan decided and said, well, it was about abortion, but they turned it around and said, no, it's about reproductive rights. And they put something on the vote. And of course, the vote passed or failed, whichever way you looked at it. And I started thinking, I said, okay, that's what it's going to take for us to kind of just change our messaging. Now let's fast forward. And I believe that's what VP and governor is doing and saying, what is it that we can say that we kind of just connect with ordinary people? People need money, people need safety, people want to have the right to speak to what happens to their body. So they shifted the narrative. Now they're saying, let's say it the way that's going to resonate with every single person. And I believe that's why this is such a movement. Every time I think about it, I just have goosebumps all over me. Because now they say we need to rephrase our messages so it can connect with ordinary people. We need to make it simple. And for me, that's what I love about Governor Tim. He's such a simple, ordinary person. And his words are always so clear. If you've seen him on the campaign trail, you will hear what he's saying. That means I was a school teacher, I was a coach, so I can connect with ordinary people. I know what language this is. So let's compare that to the other side. Every time they get to the podium, it's always about abusing other person. This person is this person don't know what they're talking about, and it goes on and on. And people are sick and tired of hearing all that negative campaign. What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for my family? What are you saying about gun violence? So again, messaging is so very important, and I think they have coined, praise God, how to package the messages and put it out there, and to the point that when they go out to campaign on these rallies, people are so excited because they can kind of just connect with both of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I think they seem to have some keywords that they use. We're not going back. That has caught on. And now, coach for the VP. What are your thoughts? Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. How about you, Daniel? Your thoughts on the same question?
Yes. So, I agree and co-sign with everything that Dr. Tigman said. Tigman
Yes.
shared. And I think one of the feelings that I get, I've been watching VP Harris's these campaign events, and she is giving off this aura of, hey, I am the responsible adult in the race. Okay.
Yes.
And then she
Yes.
keeps repeating at each stop. Part of the messaging is, okay, here you have a guy who has broken the law multiple times. I am about upholding the law. And I know his kind, which is, it's interesting. I'm not sure who that message is for, but I think that goes into the whole theme of, you have an adult, you have someone who is experienced, someone who is level-headed, someone that you trust over that red button if it ever needs to get pushed, right? And we pray that it doesn't need to get pushed and should never get pushed, but you want the right person over that red button.
That's right.
And it's just, I don't even know what's going on. I think that like many of us, that the Trump campaign, it was taken aback by recent events. They probably had all of their messaging, all of their ads, and all of their anti-Biden t-shirts ready to go, and now they're recalibrating. And from what I have been seeing, it just seems like they're in a free fall, and they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we change to address Harris? But coming from their side, it's literally a bunch of old, angry white men that can't speak coherently, and make everyday Americans cringe every time they open their mouth. That's what I've seen from the Trump side.
Yeah, and that's just the problem. After everything this country has gone through, I don't think we want to continue to hear the problems. We want to hear the solutions. What is going to happen now? Where do we move from here? The constant harangue, it impacts your mind. And we've got a psychologist in the house, I'll tell you, that thing just messes up your mind. If that's what you hear all the time. It got to the point that I hated listening to the news. I just shut it down, because it's so negative. And I don't know about you, but when I don't feel well mentally, I start eating. I think I gained a lot of weight, from just binge eating because of all the stress. And the politicians need to understand that the messaging, it's not just about you. It's about the people you're supposed to be leading. You're impacting them. So it's very important that you know what you're saying. Now, I want to share this before I ask you to go to the next question, because this has to do with the target demographics. All right, I had the opportunity to go to the event in Michigan, in Atlanta. Oh my God, that was an event. And lots and lots and lots and lots of people. It was more people than I ever thought existed. Well, of course, I'm being a little dramatic, but nonetheless, the line was so long. And after the event, I had the opportunity to interview some young people, and they were just. What I'm going to do is take both of you out for a moment, and then so that we can see them clearly, and I'll bring you right back in. But these young people were telling me how they felt after they heard Kamala. Now, this was before Tim Walz was in the picture. So I'm going to take you out for a moment, and I'll bring you right back. But let me play this video. All right, I'm here with these young people who participated in this. It was an absolutely marvelous event. I'm so glad I was able to make it. So here's this young lady. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Naomi Garcia Hector. I'm a student at Georgia State University.
Really? What are you studying?
Public policy and political science.
Really? What did you think?
I thought it was amazing. I thought there was a feeling of hope and inspiration from the Democratic Party and from people generally that there hasn't been in the past few months.
Yeah.
And so, of course, as a woman, this is a super exciting time for me. I had tears in my eyes when she was coming out, but we were excited to hear her talk about really important issues. We were excited to hear about immigration and about, especially for me, reproductive rights is super important. Especially because there's only 98 days until the election. Maybe our only critique was that we wish we heard more about specific policy issues, but I was arguing that I hope we'll hear more of that to come.
Yes.
But overall, really great. So excited that we got to be here. And
Thank you. That's wonderful. Well, you could be president next time, couldn't you?
She's proven that.
Yes, indeed. How are you?
I'm doing good.
And your name, please?
My name is Xavier Janard Shepherd.
Are you a student as well?
Yes, ma'am, at Georgia State.
Georgia State. What are you studying?
Political science.
Political science.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I loved it. I think that anyone who left that building comes out feeling energized and electric. I think the people of Atlanta and the state of Georgia are very fired up with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, a week ago, everyone that I talked to was crying.
Crying.
We didn't know how this election was going to play out, but Kamala Harris really is stepping to the plate. She's taking the fight with Donald Trump.
Yes.
And I think that is the part that's really electrifying for folks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And you, young man?
Hi, I'm James Wilson. I'm also a student at Georgia State University. I study public policy and education, and honestly, I was very happy. I'm very, very excited for the race. I wasn't excited for the race earlier in the year. I'm very excited now. I think she brings a lot of energy, a lot of passion, but most importantly, a lot of experience. She's, just 10 times more qualified than anybody else who can run for office. And I think not only her experience is so impressive to me, but also her passion for what she's talking about. You can tell that anything that she's talking about, she's passionate about it. So I'm excited for her.
And for young African Americans, how wonderful to have this will be our second black president, wouldn't it? So that means the world is the sky is the limit, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for taking the time with me. I appreciate you. You have a wonderful day, and don't forget to vote.
Yes,
okay, bye-bye.
Have a good one.
I certainly reminded them, don't forget to vote. It's one thing to attend, but you've got to go out there and do the work. You must vote. Absolutely. So anyway, that brings me back to the question that I have. That's the second question. Do you see, I thought, just listening to these young people, that they're getting the message. The messaging is good for them. When you have, when I look at the other campaign, and I see people saying, yay, getting excited, but I don't know what they're excited about because there's no policy messaging. What is it we're excited about? So this question for you, where's Bola? Bola says she will be right back.
I'm here.
What major issue for you, Daniel, is are you picking up from the campaign that is resonating for you, or with you rather?
Well, reproductive justice is something that's very important to me, as well as hearing about the student loans is also something that I've been looking at, as well as, calling for a ceasefire and the end to the genocide in Palestine. is something that I also care about. But when it comes to the healthcare, reproductive justice, as I graduated in 2020 from Union Theological Seminary. I also have an undergraduate degree from UC Berkeley in political science, and I have been, just navigating with all these student loans. And I think the young folks today, back in the day, they said if you get your high school diploma, you go out and get that job at McDonald's, pay your way through college or help support your way through college, you're going to get a good job and you're going to be set. That's how it was for our parents. But that seems to be ever more so challenging for young folks of today. And they're thinking about the student loan debt. How are they going to get jobs to sustain themselves? Jobs with livable wages. So, people are trying to survive.
Yes.
And people aren't hateful. So for me, I don't like obviously I don't like racism, obviously. But whether
Yeah.
it's racism, the sexism, homophobia, transphobia, a lot of younger people aren't really into that and are charting a different course. So seeing that is very important for me.
Yes, yes. Bola is still not in, but I would like to add, for my part, what I hear that I really get excited about is the fact that it's for us. It's about us. The United States is about all of us. We should not single any group out and make them feel that make them uncomfortable being a part of the United States. I like that messaging. I like the excitement, the exuberance. They talk about the future as opposed to going backwards. All those things are so important. And the demographics of women, encouraging women to, before women were kind of in despair because of this the possibility that you're not going to have control over your body. I mean, there were some places that abortion was stopped, right? Okay, was ended. But when they talk about doing it for the whole United States, that's a whole different thing. That doesn't leave women any opportunities for appropriate health care. So that's important to me. The other thing that's important to me, and I'm sure you guys will agree, is the Project 2025. My God, have you read that? I took the time to read that. I said, what? I mean, what are we thinking? This is crazy. So actually, that's another thing that I find very important that they talk about. And they have solutions. Don't you think? They have solutions. They offer solutions. They're not just there talking about what, I mean, certainly they refer to Trump and the previous administration of Trump, but they talk about what they're going to do, how they're going to take us into the future. I think that's very, very important. Now, I have a question. Tim Bola comes back in, but I have a question for Dr. Beasely. Hey, Doc, how are you? You're sitting there quietly. You have submitted a PowerPoint here. We're just going to add that here
Okay.
so that you can aid in conversation. The performances, what the debate performances, what do you think? Have you ever seen them debating? Because there's all this big hoopla about Trump and Kamala debating. Have you seen each one of them debate? What are your thoughts on their debating skills?
Thank you for asking, Dr. Osimiri, to help me answer these questions. I haven't seen them in person, but I did go to two reliable resources. The Political, it's a global authority news operation. It specializes in political and policy reporting with a focus on accuracy and journalistic standards. So I went there, and I also went to George Washington University, their tip sheet, which provides valuable insights and research from the university, enhancing understanding of political issues. So keeping that in mind, to answer your question, I'm going to just to review both candidates in the areas of preparedness and their strengths and their criticisms. So when we take a look at Kamala Harris, She demonstrates strong preparation with rehearsed responses, effectively addressing key issues such as healthcare and social justice. Like for instance, she discussed the Affordable Care Act successes and future plans. She emphasized her commitment to expanding access to reproductive health services. And she provided detailed examples of her work in criminal justice reform. And just note some other areas there before moving on. Her debates noted her ability to pivot from criticism to what? Highlight accomplishments. For instance, she redirected attacks on her administration's record to focus on positive outcomes. She used personal anecdotes to showcase her role in legislative successes. And she highlighted specific policy achievements and their impacts. One more thing, she engaged in assertive debates on key topics using data to support her positions. Like she presented statistics on what? Healthcare coverage expansion and job creation. She used data to argue for the effectiveness of social justice reforms. And she cited reports and studies to bolster her policy arguments. Her strengths, she effectively uses her experience as vice president to highlight her achievements and policy knowledge. She highlighted her role in Biden's administrative successes. She emphasized her experience on social justice and healthcare reform. She showed competence in navigating complex policy discussions, like, for instance, she demonstrated a deep understanding of legislative processes and policy details. She engaged effectively with moderators and opponents on challenging topics, and she used precise language and well-structured arguments in her debates. Just a few criticisms were noted in both resources. One of them argued that her performance lacked depth on specific policy details. There were accusations of vague responses on complex issues or criticism on insufficiently detailed policy proposals. For instance, they noted that her plans often lack concrete steps and timelines. And another one they noted here is some viewed her as overly reliant on her role as vice president, and they argued that her campaign focused too much on her vice presidency, and some believed her achievements as vice president were emphasized at the expense of new ideas. And that's just a few. Moving on to Governor Tim Walz. Preparedness. How is he prepared? Well, he presented sensible and reliable solutions and a focus on bipartisan efforts, demonstrating detailed policy knowledge. Like, for instance, he provided clear, actionable proposals for rural and urban issues. He proposed specific plans for economic development in rural areas, detailed urban infrastructure projects and their benefits, outlined targeted initiatives for job creation and small business support. Another preparedness point is he addressed questions with practical bipartisan approaches. He emphasized, for instance, his experience working across party lines on key issues. He presented solutions that appealed to both conservative and progressive voters. And he highlighted past successes in building bipartisan coalitions. And just another preparedness on his part for debates is use personal anecdotes to illustrate policy impacts. For instance, he shared stories from his time as a teacher and military service to underscore his policy perspective. He provided real-life examples of how his policies have impacted Minnesotans. And he used personal experiences to make his policy proposals relatable. And last of all, his strengths. We'll go over criticism, but just real briefly here. Governor Tim Walz emphasizes experience as governor and his practical problem-solving skills. For instance, he showcased successful policies implemented in Minnesota, such as healthcare reform and educational improvements, and growth and job creation, and rural infrastructure and public safety. 2, he highlighted his track record of bipartisan cooperation cooperation, and demonstrated a deep understanding of local and national issues. For instance, he addressed both rural and urban concerns with tailored solutions. He showed awareness of national trends and how they impact local communities. And he provided a comprehensive view of his policy priorities and their implications. As far as criticism, well, they noted some view his approach as too regionally focused. They argued that his policies may not address broader national concerns. And then there were some concerns raised about his ability to translate local successes into national problem solving. Another criticism is for not addressing broader national concerns. They believe his campaign lacked a clear vision for national issues. And 3, perceived a lack of visionary policy proposals, noting that his proposals were seen as pragmatic, like sensible and reliable, but not innovative. And concerns were expressed about his ability to inspire a broad national base. So that's what I found out.
Well, this is what's good about finding out things, doing research and all. But if you look at there's always a pro and there always the pros and the cons. There's always the good part and then the challenges, and that's what makes them human. I focus more on what they plan to do, and they're not going to do it by themselves. Obviously, they're going to be working with other people to help them. So wherever those weaknesses are, their strengths may be the individuals that they bring into their administration to help to buttress where the weaknesses are. And the thing about it is that you do learn through doing work. Kamala Harris, quite frankly, has always been in the shadows of the president. You don't say too much, you don't outshine your president, you don't do all of that. But then now that she is actually doing out front and she's got the responsibility to make the decisions, I think a lot of those weaknesses are going to be raised to a minimum. Here's another thing that I saw. I don't know if you saw it. I saw her interviewing the Supreme Court justices when they were, initially when they were being interviewed for the positions. She was fierce. She had them so stumped they couldn't talk. They didn't know. I mean, you need to go online and see that. That is amazing. Even the I can't remember all the names of all of that. I try not to, because of what they've done to this country. So I'll leave it alone. But the bottom line is all those Supreme Court justices, she interviewed them and had them stumped, right? And so she has the knack, right, to be forceful. She has the knack to be expressive. And now that she has the position, all right, to make the decisions herself with her running mate, some of those challenges I can see that they are most likely going to erase. What are your thoughts, Daniel and Bola, about her presentation, which is very, very good? What are your thoughts? Bola, you just came in. Go ahead. What are your thoughts? Oh, we can't hear you. There you go. Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Dr. Bola. We can't hear you. Can you guys hear her? I can't. Dr. Bola, we can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you. Okay, why don't you try and fix that? As soon as you fix it, I'll bring you right back into the studio. Daniel, your thoughts?
Well, I thought that was a pretty good summary of summary that was provided of the debate styles, and I can definitely see that for sure. And for sure, VP Harris is extremely smart. She is a very strong debater. And also the feedback of being more specific on policy. And I would summarize it as giving a politician's answer to a question, because I've seen other examples where she's been asked very direct questions and she'll give that political response as politicians do. So, but I think that is an area that they could work on. And, with the VP, I also see the VP, I'm sorry, what's his, Waltz. I also
Walls,
see
yeah.
also using the personal narrative, a personal narrative that's really been powerful on the trail, especially in the reproductive justice world. We advocate for the right to for a woman to choose not to have children and to choose to have children. And to be able to raise children in a safe and healthy environment. That is how we look at reproductive justice.
That's
And
right.
oftentimes people will, oftentimes those who want to ban abortion will pit the women who seek the right to abortion against women who seek to conceive. That's a wedge that they try to bridge. But in his anecdotal story, uh uh is it Governor Walsh? It was he, I think he's a governor.
Yes.
He talked about his family using IVF
Yeah.
to conceive their daughter, and I think the daughter's name is Hope.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And they
Yes.
named her Hope because, the odds seemed against them in terms of being able to have a child. And oddly enough, when it comes to those who want to take away abortion, it's about controlling women's choices and controlling women's bodies. So not only are they trying to outlaw abortion, but they're going after in vitro fertilization, which is what those who are struggling to start a family often utilize that for whatever reason. There's some scientific religious reason that they're also attacking that. So I appreciate the way Waltz brings in these narratives, personal stories that everyday Americans can relate to, and how he did that to bring in, okay, the women that want to have children, your rights are at stake too.
Right, right.
Those who don't want to have children, your rights are at stake too. And we're here to defend all of your
Right.
rights.
That's right. Very good. Very good. And you, Dr. Bola?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we still can't hear you. We still can't hear you.
Awesome,
No,
awesome.
go ahead.
Yeah. I don't even think there's anything else I can add
Okay.
what so Miss Danielle said, but just one thing. The narrative is what we have to keep talking about. What reproductive rights means. It's more than an abortion. It's simply saying you have the right to decide what you want to do with your body and how you want it done. Not the government, especially not a lot of white older male that seems to be saying this, oh, abortion is a sin, God doesn't want it. How you know what God wants? Look at how you're treating other
Okay.
people. So again, we have to kind of just central in the conversation, because like she said, they're using it to divide us. We have to start saying it's not about abortion. It's about the right for me to decide what to do with my body and how to do it.
That's
How-
right. That's right. That's right. I love that. I love that. And it's so important that we understand, those who are out there listening. Politics is not so much about policy. It's important, but also personality. All right, how you come across to the people, how you make the people feel, is what for the most part will help you convey to them what you want them to know. So sometimes just being very articulate with your policies and all of that, that's all good, jolly well and good. But you must bring out the emotions. You must excite the people. I just want to play this video. What happened just recently? I think this was in Michigan, in Detroit. Oh my God, that was like, do you guys actually watch these? I don't know, but I follow it. I have a sister in Spain, and she's telling me she can't sleep these days. Her husband is telling her, begging her to come to bed. 2 a.m. in the morning, she's still up watching to see what's going on with this campaign. I just want to share when she came to Detroit, how she was welcomed.
Good evening, Detroit.
you see how just how excited. I mean, people are just so excited, and then when you calm down a little bit, now you start to hear what does she have to say. I have another question that I want us to delve into. This is for you, Dr. Bola, and well, actually, this is for you, Dr. Bola. Um, you went in. We were talking about this earlier, but the voter engagement. How is that going? You know, how is the mobilizing going? How do you think? I don't know about you, but I'm inundated every single day. I my phone is clogged. They're not playing. You know what I'm saying? They are on it. They are on it. They are exciting the voters. They're very, very engaged, and they expect you to be engaged, and that's what they're doing. So what are your thoughts on that about voter engagement?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
I live in Stone Mountain, and I go to Stone Mountain now every morning to run. And I have this t-shirt that I put on. It's called Vote Georgia. And they're always stopping me. How can I get involved? How can I get engaged? What do I need to do? I've never seen this excitement before. So to answer your question, that is going very well. People are getting engaged. They want to register to vote. They want to know, how can I get my whole family to get involved? And I'm not even yesterday, and my girlfriend was making fun of me. She said they were just stopping. I mean, blackmail, stopping me and saying, I want to be involved. What do I need to do? How do I register people? How do I? And I said, what are they talking about? Our blackmail are not involved. These are people that are just saying, we've seen the light now. Let's get this done.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
out every day, every weekend, just making sure. And I'm posting, letting people know October is around the corner. That's the last day to register to vote. So let's get out, let's get it done, let's do. I tell you, I'm just so excited beyond the moon. So it's going very well. It's going very well. We have so much people like I've never seen before that just wants to
Yes.
have people to vote, saying I would take people to the poll. I will stand in line
Yes.
for people to get it done. So I mean, and I believe that this is really our moment. This is our movement. This is our time to make sure he
Yes.
becomes the next president of the United States of America.
That's right. That's right. I say sister is in the house, y'all. Sometimes it takes okay, don't want to ruffle any feathers, but sometimes you just have to let sisters in there to clean up the mess. That's the way it is. Okay, and what are your contributions to this particular conversation, Dr. Beasley? Would you like to add some thoughts to this?
Yeah, I love those grassroots thoughts, there's two things that come across my mind. One is her platform, like Kamala Harris's platform strategy. She uses Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for the younger
Yes.
voters. She uses targeted ads and sponsored posts to increase her visibility among key demographics. She implements viral marketing techniques to boost her campaign, like she reviews strategies for creating shareable content on Politico. She discusses the roles of memes and trends in spending campaign messages. And as far as her grassroots, just to add to what you were sharing, is she organizes town halls, rallies, community events to connect to
Mhm.
voters on a personal level. And then
Mhm.
she partners with local organizations and activists to amplify grassroots efforts. And one more thing, she utilizes community leaders and influences to promote campaign messages. Like she discusses the role of endorsements and support for local figures and reviews strategies for leveraging local influences. So she's got a
Mhm.
lot to say from a grassroots organizing perspective strategy and also her platform, which she uses.
Yes. And she's being so well received everywhere. Did you see the massive crowds in Arizona, in Atlanta, in Georgia, in well, she'll be in Vegas today, I think, at some point today. It's just amazing. And then there's something I want to ask both three of you. There's something else that I pick up on her. She's a no nonsense. I mean, she's jovial. She laughs and all of that, but she knows when things are not going properly how to stop it. without being terribly negative, but she's forceful enough to say, hey, I understand your concern, but we have something important that we're discussing here. Let me play this video where she stopped this gentleman. Well, I don't know if it was a gentleman, they never said, but there were individuals who were making noise, and she shut that down. Let me just.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
She said, I am speaking. Whatever your issues are, if you want Donald Trump to win, say that. Okay, but I am speaking. In other words, I've got important things that all these other people are here to hear. You understand? We're not going to pause just because you have an issue. I mean, the issues make sense. I know it has to do with the Palestinian issues, and I hope, I'm praying that they will solve that problem very soon, because too many people are dying unnecessarily, quite frankly. And so I can understand them being but recently, just yesterday, there was the same thing going on, and she stopped it. She told them, she gave them the opportunity to speak. She says, I want to hear what your concerns are. But here's the thing, we're working very hard to ensure that there's a ceasefire between the Israeli and the Palestinian issue. But in the meantime, I'm here to talk about, and that's true. I mean, if you have a concern, if you have something, just going there and screaming it and drowning everything else, it's not going to get you the right attention. That's just not the way things work. You can go outside, quite frankly, and do all of that, but while you're inside and other people want to hear, you're being disruptive. So you're not looked at positively. But anyway, she did shut that down, but yesterday, but in a different way. So she's got other ways to do things. Now we come in. I wish we had more time, but I just want. I can't ask all the questions that I want to ask because time is against us. But we're going to do part 2. Are you willing to do part 2, ladies?
Yes.
Are you? Okay, yes, we're going to do part 2. So we're not going to share everything today. But we're going to do part 2. I'm going to send you an invitation and you tell me if it fits, if it works for you. But we have to continue this conversation. As a matter of fact, this is how we're helping her. This is how we're helping the campaign. So if you have some each one of you, 1 minute closing thoughts, each one of you. I'll start with you, Danielle.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. So just my closing thoughts, and this is actually my thoughts after the previous commentary, is I am looking at the strategies in Arizona, Florida, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. These are some states that are swing, some states that have been red and have switched to blue, depending on who is running. And so I'm very curious and looking out to see the campaign strategies in these swing states, as I see VP Harris is speaking directly to voters. And I would argue even circumventing the biased media to control her narrative and speak directly to the concerns of voters. So I'm excited to see that continue and to see her ultimately debate, because I know she's gonna tear it up. So.
Oh yes. Thank you, Dr. Bola.
Oh, I love that. But one thing I want to leave with the audience: please don't pay too much attention to the poll. Don't sit at home and say she got this, we good. No, we're not good until the day after the election. So I know everybody getting excited. This is what I've been posting. Don't send me, because I've been in this long enough to know what this poll means. Sometimes it's just a poll. But what we speak to really this is for us to get out and vote. And I think that's what Dr. Beasely was alluding to earlier. It's about the grassroots. This is what President Obama did. And they're taking a page from his book, that you got to connect with voters. You have to have boots on the ground. You have to, because she can be everywhere, but we can. So again, thank you so
Yes.
much, Dr. O, for the
Yes.
opportunity to share with your
Yes.
audience.
Yes. 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 Dr. Beasely?
Well, I think there's a professional means to debate, especially for those of us who want to really focus on the issues at hand and to really hear um, approaches to our concerns across the country. And then there's the weirdness of the other. It's like, what? That's not a professional approach. That's attack on a person. That's attack on across demographics. It's just it is so ethically uh, incorrect and shouldn't be on stage. And I really think that there needs to be um, standards for coming to a debate and or addressing
Mhm.
issues where it's based on um, professionalism and addressing the issues
Mhm.
in a way that we as voters can understand what's being said, not the weirdness. I mean, that this really just really takes away from the Republican platform, and it's just a shame.
Yes, yes, it does. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you to my panel. I'm going to send you an invitation so we can continue. I mean, this thing is still moving, so we can't just do one and stop. We have to keep this going because this is how we ourselves are helping. As we approach, ladies and gentlemen, this pivotal moment in our democracy, I want to take a moment and remind each and every one of you of the power you hold in your hands. As Kamala said, the baton is passed on to you. You're the one that's going to make anything happen. It's not just about attending rallies, sharing articles, or posting on social media in support of Kamala Harris and Team Walz. While those actions are very valuable, there's no doubt about that, the real impact comes from exercising your right to vote. On November 5th, let us all come together to make our voices heard. Your vote is your voice, and it matters now more than ever. It's time to turn our enthusiasm into action, to show up at the polls and to ensure that our support translates into tangible results. Please set a date, a day every week to check your voting status until October 7, 2024, which is also the last day to register, as our sister, Dr. Bola, has told us, to register to vote in November election. So I urge you, see how you can help. Make phone calls, canvass, talk to your friends, family, anyone, and encourage them to register to vote and vote blue. Hey, vote blue. Clear, not just for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, but the Democrats, the House members, all down the ballot, vote blue. That's my sentiment. Together we can pave the way for a brighter future with Kamala Harris and Team Walz leading the charge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to say it again, November 5th, that's the goal. Go out and vote, 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 vote. Or
Let's
you
do
can also do early voting.
let's
Oh,
do
and it's important, let me close with that, to remind you to please support Kamala Harris. Go to kamalaharris.com. Kamala Harris, let me get that. Because we can all be a part of this. Let's not just talk about it. They can never have too much money. So if you haven't made any donations, go there and donate to the campaign, kamalaharris.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so very much for being a part of this auspicious occasion. And we're going to do it again. We're going to send out the flyer information, letting you know when next we're going to have it. Dr. Bola, thank you very much. I appreciate you very much. Dr. Beasely, and certainly my friend Daniel. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And one final comment somebody made here, we'll share that. They said the United States still have not produced a woman president. You cannot say that you're a champion, that you champion women cases and yet demonstrate bias when picking the president of the United States. Yes, sir, Yudi. That's right. It's time to put a woman in there. We can do it, don't you think? I believe we can do it. And that right woman is Kamala Harris. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thank you,
joining.
Dr. Sumari.
Everyone. Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you.
Yes,
Everyone.
indeed.